This book here is 30 years old. It's the one and only Miles Davis. This book was co-authored with Quincy Thorpe. Very moving book of one of the greatest music artists ever. Birth of the Cool is out right now. The documentary about Miles Davis and how cool of birth. I still call it birth. It's Birth of the Cool of birth, whatever you want to call it. You need to go check it out. This book came out 30 years ago. One of the most honest, rawest biographies you'll ever read. He explores and talks about racism, sexism, class. Talks about his music, how he changed the music game 5 different times, different decades. The great musicians that he came across from Charlie Bird Parker, playing with Dizzy Gillespie, starting with Billy Eckstine, associations with Quincy Jones, and then bringing in vast talents and ranging from Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, Wayne Shorter, Tony Williams, Michael Henderson, James Ntume, John McLaughlin, and so many other great talents. Later on, the Branford Marcellus, and of course, the great Marcus Miller, and so many other great talents that have played, and so many other dignitaries. And he talks about the business and the politics. And what I loved about Miles Davis, he also broke it down by tears and talent and how he looked at things. He was very real, kept it real raw and real black. Everything in his book was not for the ease of the mind. It was not easy to digest and not to take in so kind. He spoke about the abuse of nature. He spoke about dealing with so many different things of politics, to racism in America, and how he was treated abroad. Talked about how he played, how he looked at audiences, the coolness factor, how he looked at life, how he digested it, what it all meant, what it all said, what it all felt. When you read this book, you don't have anything left unturned, unhinged. Miles Davis kept it really 100%, raw thickness, black into your face. And yet he wanted to live life. He gave you a very complex nature of so many different things. You know, when you read his book, you are feeling the force of what was going on with him, the elements of him, the whole way the world around him was treating, the way he was coming into. You know, it's like one of those kind of situations where he had truly a way of being so direct and so reflective. Just the way he painted as well, the canvases, the mindset, the whole aura of him, you know. You understood that when you take him into his work ethic and what he's about, you realize this is a man that truly was miles ahead of everybody, you know. He was really a complex, compelling figure, you know. Wasn't for about simple behaviors and simple actions. You know, it's just that raw, gut bucket nature of him. And so it's felt. His music took on so many different cinematic virtues and vibes. You know, he could just express himself so many different ways. You know, obviously, Kind of Blue was one of those albums that takes you on that journey so well alone that the bass rams, you know, you just know what you feel, the pulse of it. But then you go up to like a Sketches of Spain with the intensity, the fire, the fury. You know, just like you did with the Jack Johnson soundtrack and the B Brew album. You know, and then on the corner, so many different, like in a silent way, and the way he, you know, and the way he flipped Someday My Prince Will Come. You know, he talks about all that in this book and how he just gave so much, so many details, so much rawness. You know, that was the way about Miles Davis. You know, just like one of those kind of figures that you just felt that had that aura and that personality and that persona. You know, but yet there were so many different layers and some complexities to him. When he would play his trumpet, how he would leave ghost notes, he'd leave like a tone or phrase. You know, it's just very telling how he picked up, where he went with it, where he took you on those journeys, you know. And this book explores so much of that. It really does. It's just one of the most rawest, honest, descriptive, natural, progressive places that you go. From East St. Louis all the way to Hollywood, in between, all the way to Paris, France, finding identity. I also want to give a big shout out to everybody, like I mentioned in the movie from the other day. I did the documentary. You know, Carl Embry did a great job narrating. Miles' voice was very distinctive. That's after surgery, by the way, and he never got his regular voice back. But that tone, that phrasing, the way he hit with that vulnerability with the trumpet, You can see right there. That trumpet did all the talking. You see that trumpet right there. It was a very powerful extension. Showed the vulnerability that man in his horn, the power of it, takes you on a journey, you know. And his records and the way he carried himself and the way he spoke with so much conviction and so detailed. There was no sugarcoat, and that was the rawness of Miles Davis. And this was one of those books that still incites so much feeling, so compassion, so depth. You know, you felt what he was talking about then, and you still feel it now. So I wanted to take the time to go back 30 years ago and to review this book and tell you the nuances and the depths and the honesty of it. And feel free to give me your thoughts and takes about the greatness, the great pioneer beyond jazz, great music, Mount Rushmore figure named Miles Davis, Dewey Davis. Feel free to talk about it. Let's share it. Give me likes, hit them comments. And when the bell rings, a new video. Have a good day. Let's enjoy this. And read this book if you haven't. Get that Miles Davis book, because Miles was truly one of a kind. Put some respect by Miles Davis' name. And Quincy Thorpe for coming with the book as well. Peace.